So here it is from the famous philosopher Yogi Berra. Not Yogi Berra, he would say something like this, but in essence what he says is make sure you go to other people's funerals, otherwise they won't come to yours. Brilliant when you really think about it, right? So it got me thinking a couple of years ago, I think I shared this story with you before, that my best friend's mom passed away, and she was like a mom to me. And so there we are at the wake, and a whole bunch of us from high school were regathered, and we're standing around, and I kind of looked around. We all had kids, young kids at the time. And I said, "Hey guys, guess what? We're on deck." I know it's kind of morbid, but think about it, right? So Yogi didn't realize what he was saying is so true. Is that really behind that is life is short, right? And if you, and I've used this quote in other videos, and I hope you understand what I'm saying, is life is short. If you don't slow down sometimes, you'll miss it. And that's another famous philosopher, that's Ferris Bueller. Got me kind of emotional this weekend. We just spent a few days hanging out with the grandkids and watching them grow like weeds. Oh my word. You know, one minute you see them, you think they're going to be that size the rest of their lives, and next minute you're teaching the 7-year-old how to play cribbage. Wasn't that long ago, just rolling around on the floor with him and hoping he knew how to roll from left to right. Now he's whooping my butt in cribbage. So that's what I wanted to talk about today is life is short, right? If you don't take time to enjoy what you have, and you can tell I have a lot here. I'm walking on the walkway here at the beach, and I'm going to enjoy it. You know, my personal journey is I didn't plan on this. I'm only 62. I planned on working until I was 67, cashing in a big corporate pension, taking Social Security at 67, probably having a vacation home someplace, a couple of cars, jetting around the world. That didn't work out that way. And I'm actually thanking God that it didn't work out the way that I had planned, because it says in Scripture that man makes his plans, but the Lord directs his steps. So over the weekend we were talking, my son-in-law and I, about different scriptures and how they guide our lives. And that's one of them that guide my life. Before I knew the Lord, I would think I was in control. I think I had my act together, and it was going to go the way Popsy Guy wanted it to go. And then wham, bam, there I am. But look at what's happened. You know, as I said, I'm a youngin'. I'm only 62. Not really retired. I do have a part-time job, and if you've followed this channel at all, you know what I do on a part-time basis is I deliver pizza to the good folks that like to come here to the beach. It's wonderful. I actually love it. I really do. Took early Social Security. The reason I did that is because when we moved here to Northwest Florida, I had a great job. I had a corporate job as a recruiter. It was remote, making over 6 figures, loving life. And one day, the dreaded Zoom call comes and say, "Hey, we're making cuts. We lost this contract. Everybody that's working on this particular project is now free to do whatever they want. Here's your 2 weeks. Knock yourself out." That was 1 month to the day that we moved here. But as I said, I made my plans, but that wasn't God's plan. And can you imagine? And I know you're going through this, and I know you probably watch plenty of YouTubers that say, "Hey, retire as early as you can," or others say, "Hey, retire late. Sock that money away. Make sure you've got more than enough money because you never know how long you're going to live." All that is true. But my point is, you may have a lot of money, not you in particular, but you may. But what are you going to do with it when you can't get out of bed without groaning and creaking, and you need somebody's help to take care of the daily activities that you're taking for granted now? So I am a huge advocate of spending the time you have while you're healthy, if you are healthy, and I hope you are, to do the things that you're putting off till later in life. And if you're in my age group, then you know you've seen plenty of people that haven't made it this long. And there is no promise of tomorrow. So the uplifting part. And don't forget, this station is all about wisdom, experience, and encouragement. And that's really what I wanted to share with you today is be encouraged. Be encouraged, because I think you have a plan. I know you have a plan. You're here for a reason. You may not know the reason, but that reason may just hit you upside the face one day, 10 or 15 years after you've completed it, where you'll look back and you'll say, hey, you know, that wisdom and experience I gave to that person one day at work, it starts to flood back into your mind. You're like, I hope they took it. And then you run into that person and you start talking and they say, I remember the day that you told me that I should do this. And they'll say, at that time, I thought you were crazy, but I'm so glad you did. I followed your advice, and here I am. You know, you could take credit for that if you want, but that was wisdom that was given to you, and your job is to pass it on. And that's what this channel is all about. And I thank you so much for the support of this channel. You guys have been awesome. And I promised you a couple of months, not even, about a month or so ago. Yeah, it's about a month or so, that I'd do an update on where we are with hanging out with Popsy Guy. And I'll give you a quick teaser. I love this. I think as of today, which is the middle of May 2025, I'm up to 765 subscribers, well over 5,000 hours of watch time. And my goal is not to be a full-time YouTuber and make $100,000 and do all of that stuff. My goal is just to spend time with you and listen to what you have to say. And if you ever comment and say, hey, we'd love to learn more about this, I'd love to do it. Because there are times, and if you've contemplated doing your own YouTube channel, you'll know, there are times when ideas flood your mind and you can't wait to put them on video. And there are other times where all you hear is crickets. But I can assure you there are lots and lots of people on YouTube that are willing to help you during your journey. And that's where I'm at. I spend a lot of time, you know, reviewing other YouTube channels and listening to some of the, not so much the gurus, the big people, but the ones that are probably a little bit further along the game than I am, but just to hear about their journey and what they've been doing. And once you start, and I'll share this with you, there'll be plenty of videos where somebody says, just push the record button and start talking. That's my recommendation. Don't worry about what you're going to say. I know there's a huge YouTuber, you probably heard his name before, Mr. Beast. I don't follow his channel, I've just run into some of the things that he said. One of them was, I love this, your first 100 videos are going to suck. I'm like, whoa, 100? He says, yeah, just get over yourself and keep plowing along. And then you'll find your groove, you'll find your voice, and people will come to you. And that's where I'm at now. And I love it. So what I'd love for us to do as a community is to engage each other and talk about your experience, your wisdom, and to continue to encourage each other. Because I read every single comment I get. And I've gotten a lot, and thank you very much for that. I love the engagement. But it's more so when I see the replies back and forth between you all. That encourages me. And it comes to the point where if you're in the same demographic that I am and the audience that generally is, you realize that you're not as different or as odd as you think. Matter of fact, you're not odd at all. God made you exactly the way you are for the reason that He intends. So don't ever think that you're odd. Even though you know I'm odd, I'm kind of weird. But it just goes back to the beginning, right? Life is short. Make sure you spend as much time as you can doing the things that you want to do, not so much the things that you have to do. As a matter of fact, I'm not a big Facebook guy. I usually post and rip off other people's memes, and I give them credit, without a doubt. I'll say credit XXX, but some of the stuff that I like is just oddball humor. But I did run into an old high school friend of mine that I played hockey with. He's retiring from his corporate job after, I think it was 40 years, the same company. And he's all excited, and I don't know anything about his situation. I just know from his Facebook posts, he's got a great family, he's traveled a lot, and he's looking forward to retirement. And so I just replied back, I said, now you get a chance to do the things that you want to do, not the things that you have to do. And I can just share this encouragement with you that if you're at a point in your journey in life, no matter where you are in that journey, Once you get to the point where you can do the things that you want to do, as opposed to everything that you have to do, it's just a great place to be. The skies become bluer, the air becomes clearer, your sleep is much better. And I can tell you that's one thing I don't personally miss about the 9-to-5 grind or owning my own businesses, which I've told you I've done in the past. I don't wake up with a sense of dread when I open my email because somebody's looking for something. They're demanding something quickly and you better get on it. I'll share a little nugget with you. When I was running my own little firm, recruiting firm, I would never book an appointment, whether it's with a client or a potential candidate, before 11 o'clock in the morning. And you may say, oh my word, why would you wait that late? Well, a little secret for you. I'm not an early riser. I've got a real good friend of mine who likes to get up at 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning. And I'm like, dude, that's the middle of the night. Matter of fact, I didn't go to bed till 2 o'clock last night. So can you imagine if I woke up at 4 o'clock? Yikes, that's like a nap. But my point is that I was in control of my own schedule. So I made sure that I didn't have any commitments before 11 a.m. because I wanted to spend that time with the Lord in Scripture, meditating on what I'm reading some commentaries, and really diving in. And that way, this is not a checklist where God says, hey, you better have X amount of minutes in the Scripture with me and you better spend. No, that's not what God wants. What He wants is your heart to be right. So I spent a lot of time in the Bible, not because it's going to get me to heaven, it's because I loved it. So I wouldn't let that time be booked. I just blocked it out on my calendar. So before 11 a.m., let's make it 11:30. So that's something that I hope, if you're in this journey of potentially retiring, that you'll be able to spend more and more time doing the things that you want to do rather than the things that you have to do. Because Yogi said it, he said, got to make sure you go to other people's funerals, otherwise they're not going to show up to yours. What do we got here? I don't know if you can see it. That's red and white. I'm assuming that's a Navy chopper. If you know more than I do about that, please comment. We're close to a Navy base. Tells you where I am in Northwest Florida. But getting back to the point that Yogi had said, and you know what I'm going to do? And I want to hear whether or not you think this is a good idea, because I haven't even told my wife yet, so if you see her, don't say anything. I'm thinking of writing a book. I got a sense of humor that's kind of dry, not dry. I don't know. I like movies like Princess Bride and Airplane and Fun with Dick and Jane. I like all those kind of goofy comedies because in every single one of those movies that I just mentioned, there's a thread of realism. There's a thread that this is real life. And you could say, well, how is Princess Bride like that? It's the conflict, right? It's the daily conflict. It's the relationships. It's the things that we don't even pay attention to. But my point is that I want to write a book, and the reason I used the Yogi quote is I want to take some of Yogi's best commentary, best quotes, which he says, and here's another quote from Yogi, I never said half the things I think I said. I want to just take 5 or 6 of them, and maybe 8, I don't know what the number is, and title the chapter that, and then do this. Just kind of write down some of the things that I've experienced based on that quote, right? And my other favorite one is, if you have a favorite one, please put it in the comments. I'd love to hear from you, is nobody goes to that restaurant anymore because it's too crowded, right? That's an absolute. Nobody goes there anymore because it's too crowded. Things like that. And it's funny because I'll drive by a restaurant with my wife and I'll say, look at how crowded it is. Nobody goes there anymore. And she'll say, what? I said, never mind. It's a Yogiism. You either get it or you don't. So let me know what you think. It would be kind of cool. I don't know. Gives me, something to look forward to, another project to do. This YouTube channel is certainly a project. It's our wonderful, wonderful outlet for talking to a camera. Whether or not anybody watches really is not a big deal. It'll get picked up. people will see it. But the real reason I'm doing it is a legacy for my grandkids and for my adult kids. Because I started this conversation kind of morbidly saying that you've got to go to other people's funerals. Someday, I'm not going to be here. Someday, I won't be able to walk on this beach. Someday, all of this will continue and I'm not going to be around. And that day could be today. And so if there's an opportunity for me to put on what we call tape, it's not even tape anymore, right? Some of the things that are on my mind, and I don't know if it's 10, 15, 20 years from now, my grandchildren, if YouTube is still around, can dial it up and say, oh, I remember that guy. We used to play in the front yard. He taught me how to play cribbage. He taught me how to ride a bike. He knows I have a bounce house in my backyard, and we had so much fun at the birthday party, and we go to the pool, and we do all these great things. Those are the things I want them to remember. Because, again, this is not morbid. This is encouraging. We all have a certain amount of days on this earth, so don't waste them. That's all I'm telling you. And the last bit of advice I'll mention is do not let money be your guide. Do not let money be the only thing you think of on whether or not you should start to pull back from active work if you're in your 60s. And I know you know this, but the day that you leave your office, they'll clean out your desk and they'll change the name on the door before you even get to the parking lot. And that business will continue. And as I said just previously in another video, I've never been to the wake where the guest of honor pops up out of the coffin and says, dang, I wish I spent more time at work. Just doesn't happen that way. So again, encouraging. The whole theme of Popsy Guy, hanging out with Popsy Guy, is share some experience, some wisdom, and encouragement. And encouragement is that if you're watching this video, you're doing it because there's a little bit of you in me and me in you. And if you have ever thought about starting your own YouTube journey, please do. Please do it. It's not hard. It really isn't. If I can figure it out, you can figure it out. And you'll notice, and I actually made a comment on another YouTuber the other day, I consider myself what's called a one-take wonder. Like this video right now, I won't even edit it because, I don't know how to edit. And everybody says, oh, you could learn, it'll only take you this much time. Yeah, nah, it doesn't excite me. I'm not gonna hire somebody to do it. Either the video's good or it's not. Either you're gonna watch it or you're not. If you're not watching it, I don't even know. And guess what? You don't even know if you're not watching it. Think that one through. So, all right, well, listen, you guys enjoy the day. You can tell what I'm going to do today, or I've got a couple hours before I go into work, but I'm going to enjoy this, all right? This is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. So this is Popsy Guy. You've been hanging out with me. I really appreciate you taking the time to do this. As I said, comment. Tell me if I'm all full of cookies. I'd love to hear it. You know, if you've got some things that you want me to talk about, I will plug my previous life. Financial advisor, a recruiter in the financial advisory business. I laugh. It's what's happening in the markets right now. It's beyond belief that the markets, and again, the market to me, and you may just turn off right here and now when I say this, it's a big old Las Vegas slot machine. You put money in, you don't know if you're going to make money or lose money because you are not in control of that. So when the news is bad, way back in the day, the market would react negatively. Now, it doesn't matter. Because you know why? There's no fundamentals in investing anymore. It's all technical, it's all software, it's all AI. You think you're buying a company based on its fundamentals, but if you don't do your own research and you let some manager do it, they're not buying it on the fundamentals, they're buying it on the ride. They look at the charts and they say, here's the top, head and shoulders, here's the bottom, are we going to hit resistance, are we going to hit the floor? They don't care about the company, they don't care anything about whether or not that company's profitable. They just want to see whether or not on their charts where the lines are. That is not investing, that is speculating, that is gambling, and that's how Wall Street makes money. That's why all the banks have such big buildings. It's like the insurance companies. Who's got the tallest buildings in town? Insurance companies and banks. Whose money did they use? Yours. So anyway, well listen, I'm going to sign off, go enjoy the beach for a little bit before I go into work for a little while. Thanks again for hanging out. Please like this video if you like it. Give me a thumbs up, thumbs down. It's not going to hurt my feelings. But do me a favor and just leave me a comment. What else should we talk about? Because I will talk about things like this, and it may just bore you to tears, but I love doing it anyway. So thank you again. We'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.